Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gregory Jones. I'm the principal of Kenwood Academy, and I would like to welcome you to our school. Um, at this time, I would like to bring forth the Master of Ceremony, Mr. Derek Douglas, who's the Vice President of Civic Engagement at the University of Chicago. Thank you. Derek?
Good afternoon, everybody. Beautiful day out today. And Principal Jones, I want to thank you for welcoming us here to your school. For the record, my sister-in-law was a graduate of Kenwood Academy back in 1989, so it's special to be here today. As Principal Jones mentioned, my name's Derek Douglas. I'm the Vice President for Civic Engagement at the University of Chicago. And I'm really delighted, just excited about the announcement that we're going to be making here today around education and the university's commitment to the city. Before I do that, I wanted to just acknowledge a few people who are here in attendance today. Some of folks with respect to the university. I first want to acknowledge one of our trustees, Charles Ashby Lewis, who's the chairman of the Lewis Sebring Family Foundation and has really been a major champion throughout the university with respect to education issues. I also want to recognize John Boyer, who's the dean of our undergraduate college, and James Nondorf, who's the Vice President for Enrollment and Student Advancement, who played a critical role in making today a possibility. I also want to recognize, I don't know, I didn't see him here, but I think Tim Knowles, is he in the room? Right there. Tim never gets lost in a crowd. I don't know how I did that. But Tim is the John Dewey Director of the Urban Education Institute and the John Dewey Clinical Professor in the Committee on Education. And I also want to recognize Melissa Roderick. She's here, who is a Senior Director of the Consortium for Chicago School Research and the Herman Dunlop Smith Professor at the School of Social Service Administration, did some really critical research that helped to drive the program. Also, we have Shirley Newsom, who's a member of our Charter School Governing Board and the chairman of the SECC. Finally, there's a couple of public officials who I also wanted to recognize. First, we have Alderman Will Burns, the Alderman of the 4th Ward here. And we also have State Representative Kim DuBouclet with us today. So let me just say, and we'll get right to the speakers, but the university's vision of civic engagement, really from its founding, was built on a foundation and a commitment to the city of Chicago and a partnership with the city of Chicago. Since I've been here, there's so many initiatives, whether it's around economic development work that we're doing on 53rd Street, or the Urban Health Initiative, I see Eric Whitaker here, around healthcare, or the crime lab around public safety issues, where you have the university working in close partnership, hand in hand, with the city and with Mayor Emanuel's team. The centerpiece, though, if I had to pick one for the civic engagement work of the university over the years, has really been education. And so we're really delighted to announce today an important new step in that partnership and commitment to the city. And so first, who will be making the announcement, I want to introduce the president of the University of Chicago, Robert J. Zimmer.
Thank you very much, Derek. And I also want to echo Derek's excitement at being here today. The nature of our partnership with the city has been extremely important and I believe extremely productive, and we are eager to continue doing more. And so what we talk about here today, what we announce here today, is a piece of a broad agenda on the part of the university for a deep engagement with the city and our way of contributing to the city of Chicago. The University of Chicago interest in K-12 education has been going on for more than a century, since the early days of the University of Chicago. Today, that work includes work being done by our faculty from across the university. Derek already mentioned the Urban Education Institute, which runs the 4 campuses of our charter school here on the south side of Chicago, serving approximately 1,800 kids from the south side. Urban teacher training program, which is very importantly focused on training teachers who will understand how to function best in an urban environment, and a very robust program of research that's dedicated to school improvement and student learning across the entire Chicago public school system. Across campus, our faculty, our staff, and our students are engaged every single day in a variety of programs that take them into dozens of Chicago schools. Now, a very important feature of the Chicago schools that has been clarified by Melissa Roderick, a professor that Derek already mentioned, professor in our School of Social Service Administration, is that students do not find themselves applying to and entering the schools that they are capable of being enrolled in. And finding that right match and ensuring that students are being ambitious and in their application and their sites, and ensuring that they apply and recognize the opportunities is crucial to their future success in meeting their full potential. A part of the problem arises, and what is creating that obstruction is that two key things. Is the college admissions process as a whole is quite complicated, and that students often do not have the tools for navigating the complexity of that process. And second, they are often not fully aware of the financial aid opportunities that are available to them in various places. And what that means is that they and their families do not actually evaluate the cost of various options that they might have available to them. As a society, we need to be very clear. A college degree makes a huge difference in the lives of students and the trajectory of families. Students from the city of Chicago should be aiming very high to fulfill their potential. We want them to attend the best school, the best college possible that suits their needs, interests, and abilities. And so I'm delighted to announce today a new program called UChicago Promise, which will help students raise their sights and help students achieve their potential. UChicago Promise is for every student who is a resident of the city of Chicago and who attends any type of high school in the city of Chicago. It will provide resources to students whether they want to come to the University of Chicago or not, or whether they want to attend any other institution of higher education across the country. So UChicago Promise includes 5 new commitments. First, UChicago Promise will allow all students from the city of Chicago who attend the College of the University of Chicago to graduate debt-free. So we will replace all loans that would be part of their financial aid packages with grants from the university. Second, UChicago Promise automatically waives application fees for all students from the city of Chicago applying to the University of Chicago. Again, an effort to eliminate perceived barriers. But UChicago Promise doesn't just help students who want to come to the University of Chicago. Our third commitment is the creation of a new admissions academy with programming for students, families, and guidance counselors to help students through the admissions process, whatever and wherever they attend college. And also it's designed to increase the set of tools that are available to college counselors in the city of Chicago so that they themselves will be able to better help the students. Fourth, as a part of UChicago Promise, the college is sponsoring new internships for current students at the University of Chicago through our Metcalfe Internship program, and these interns selected in part for their interest in K-12 education, and we have many, many students at the university interested in K-12 education. These internships will support the work of UChicago Promise in a variety of ways. And finally, UChicago Promise will include a website with resources to help all students and families apply successfully for college admission and for financial aid. UChicago Promise will bring these new elements together with other aspects of college preparation, mentoring, and scholarship programs that the university sponsors for students in Chicago. I want to mention one that I believe has been particularly important, and that is our college's full tuition scholarships for children of Chicago police officers and firefighters. So for the first time, all of these opportunities will be available in one place, information available for all students and their families. Now, Derek mentioned a very important word earlier, and that is partnership, which we have viewed as a crucial ingredient in everything that we've been doing connected to the city. Mayor Rahm Emanuel has demonstrated over and over again that he recognizes the critical importance of education to improving the well-being of our communities and the well-being of our citizens. This initiative addresses a challenge that Mayor Emanuel has issued to Chicago's universities and colleges to help improve access to higher education. And we're very pleased that the mayor is here, able to join us today to mark this new chapter in our partnership with the city, along with a representative of the Archdiocese of Chicago and other officials and honored guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Zimmer. I don't know about all of you, but doesn't that make you want to be in high school again here? Something like that. Man, I wish they had that when I was coming up. But this is absolutely tremendous. Next, I want to introduce Jo Marie Yonkes, who's the Assistant Superintendent for High Schools in the Office of Catholic Schools, Archdiocese of Chicago. As you know, Jo Marie, many students who attend Catholic high schools in the city of Chicago come to the University of Chicago. So we're really delighted to have you here to speak today to talk about this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, President, and thank you, Mayor. I am delighted to be here today because the Archdiocese is the largest private system in the United States. We have 25,000 young men and women who are students in 40 high schools throughout the Chicago and suburbs. 13,000 of those students are in the city of Chicago. So that's a lot of students that come to our Catholic schools. 98% of our students matriculate to various colleges and universities, and the University of Chicago is one of their favorite places to go. Our parents pay a lot of money in tuition for our students. It is a great sacrifice to our parents to invest in their child's K through 12 education at our Catholic schools. Culturally and socioeconomically, our schools serve a very wide array of families from every neighborhood in the city of Chicago, and we are very proud of that. 16% of our students are non-Catholic. 35% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. Of the 7 Archdiocese high schools that we own, nearly all of the students qualify for free and reduced lunch. So this isn't just a hierarchy of wealthy people coming to our schools. When I think of students from Mount Carmel or Our Lady of Tepeyac or some of our schools, I'm reminded of the great sacrifice that they and their families endure to reach their potential and move into a bright future. Many of these students are first-generation college graduates, which is very exciting. We are here today to talk about a partnership with the University of Chicago and our high schools. This partnership is between the university and our high schools. This UC Promise can offer these young men and women who attend our Catholic schools a wonderful experience as well as a financial obligation. We look forward to walking this walk with you and place as many of our students and young adults into your vibrant new program. Our brand at the Archdiocese is more kids in great Catholic schools. I would like to say, beyond that, we can say more Catholic students in great colleges. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veronica Hawad, and I'm the person in the college admissions office who works with prospective students from the city of Chicago, my hometown. I'm very excited about this position because it allows me to focus most of my time on the students right here in the city. It's unusual for an institution like the University of Chicago to devote a single admissions counselor to their hometown. But it's even more unusual to create an initiative like UChicago Promise that gathers so many different resources for local students. As a result of UChicago Promise, I've been able to change the way that I engage students. When I'm in city schools, I'm not primarily encouraging students to apply to UChicago, although it's great when they do. But I do spend much of my time simply serving as a resource. I get to teach workshops on essay writing, I get to prepare students for college interviews. It's been incredibly rewarding, and it makes a big difference for students through the admissions process. I'm extraordinarily fortunate to work day in and day out with amazing young people who I can say without exaggeration have the potential to change the world. I'm going to introduce two first-year students at the University of Chicago's college, and you'll see what I mean. But first, I would like to recognize another group of students in the room because you are part of what this program is all about. I would like to recognize our Kenwood Academy Bridge students who, as high schoolers, challenged themselves by taking college-level classes at the University of Chicago. Would those students please stand up? So now I would like to introduce to you two wonderful young ladies, both residents of the city of Chicago, who I was fortunate enough to work with last year. Miss Chloe Gillespie, who also took bridge classes as a high school student, and Miss Cindy Avila, who is a recipient of our longstanding Police and Fire Merit Scholarship Award. Ladies.
Well, I would like to start off by thanking Ms. Veronica for that introduction. But I would also like to begin by making an introduction of my very own. This woman has been a source of strength for me for 18 years. And she continues to inspire me with her dedication and perseverance. And this woman is my mother, Elaine Gillespie. Mom, would you please stand?
As Chloe said, it is a pleasure to be on stage today, but this would not be possible without the constant support from teachers, my entire family, my brother and my sister, but particularly both my parents and my grandmother, who happen to be in the audience today. So Salvador, Helena, and Alexandra, if you could please stand up. Thank you so much for giving me everything. Thank you. For me, visiting the university for the first time was truly the beginning and end of my college search. Once on campus, I could only imagine what possibilities were available with such a vibrant education. Even though I've lived in Chicago my entire life, I was struck by how my lifelong dream of learning could be achieved in a place that was right at my doorstep. Rest assured, I'm not here to tell you a perfect story. There were many obstacles I faced along the way. I was not a straight A student, and I did not have the highest ACT score. In fact, there were many moments where I took a good fall. But what made the difference from me and my peers, who would also have the occasional stumble, was that I would find a way back up, refocus by learning from my mistakes, and push myself even more in order to get right back on track. As the university percentage got lower, it looked like my chances of getting into such a competitive place was increasingly slim. But as with everything else, I knew that I would not be satisfied unless I tried. I spent countless hours working on my application, fine-tuning every detail, making sure that all my hard work would be reflected, and in doing so, I was ultimately rewarded as a police and firefighter scholarship recipient. If there's one thing I've learned from being a student at the U of C, it is this. If you put in the effort, the university will do what it can to remove those obstacles in order for its students to succeed. And so, the announcement of UChicago Promise truly makes this an exciting time, as Chicago students will be given a real opportunity in this ever-demanding college process. But high school seniors, as someone who was in your shoes only a year ago, remember, it is truly up to you. Applying to college is ultimately about what you put into it, the initiatives you take to getting exactly where you need to be. Thank you.
Well, my story is a bit different from Cindy's because my knowledge of the university started with the tour that my class took at the end of my junior year of high school. But even then, I wasn't committed to making this school my school. And at the beginning of my senior year, I presented my list of prospective colleges and universities to my high school math and chemistry teachers, and they stopped me mid-sentence and said, "Those are very good schools, Chloe, but have you looked into the University of Chicago?" Well, let's just say that I did a bit more than look into the university. Because of the College Bridge program, I was blessed enough to take a humanities course every Tuesday and Thursday on campus. And it was through this course that I was able to see the rigorousness of the university. I was also able to fall in love with the deep intellectual environment that it provided for all of its students. And I knew from that time forward that I wanted to be in that environment for 4 more years, and so I pursued it. Applying and getting accepted into this university was one of the most nerve-wracking and exciting experiences of my entire life. But even after I experienced the joy of being accepted, there were those around me who told me that I maybe should look into another school. They said that I would feel uncomfortable at a place like this. I found myself in quite the predicament because not only did I have to deal with my own self-doubt, but I had to deal with people around me confirming all of the negatives. But this is why I am so grateful to my family, to my friends, and to my faith, because in spite of all of this, I was able to rise above. Somewhere inside of me, I held on to the hope that I wouldn't have been accepted into this university if they did not believe that I could handle it. I held on to the fact that my mother believed in me, and that my admissions counselor believed in me, and that Miss Veronica believed in me as well. And I held on to this hope until October 1st, 2012, my first day of class. Now, after 5 weeks of school, I know that this is the place for me. And this is why I am so passionate and excited about the UChicago Promise, because now students won't have to doubt. Now the odds will actually be in their favor. My younger cousin, who is a senior in high school right now, has struggled with the idea of attending this school as a college freshman. She can't seem to separate herself from her circumstances, and every time that I talk to her, I can see so much of myself. Well, now, instead of telling her that it's possible, I have the proof that it's possible. She now has the UChicago Promise. I would now like to read a small excerpt from a poem that I included in my admissions application titled "Tall Wooden Doors." And just to briefly build context, it depicts my first day of humanities class through the College Bridge program. And so it reads, "I raise my hand, and the entire time that I'm sharing ideas, I can't believe what's happening. I made it on the other side of the door. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe these doors were never intimidating. Maybe, just maybe, they were challenging me. They were seeing if I had the courage to discover what was on the other side, because those are the types of people that belong at this university, the ones that will discover the secret of these tall wooden doors. Because in all honesty, these doors are merely waiting on the right type of student to accept the challenge, turn the knob, and step into higher learning." Thank you.
Thank you for those really beautiful, touching, heartfelt remarks, ladies. And really, that's really what UChicago Promise is all about. You know, there's announcements, there's points, but that's really what it boils down to. It boils down to the students and the opportunity that it will provide to people to realize their dreams. Finally, I would like to introduce our great Mayor Rahm Emanuel. As President Zimmer mentioned, I would say education has been at the tippy top of the agenda of the mayor since the day he got in office. He's challenged everyone throughout the city to think bigger, to think bolder, and to really put education of our students and our children at the forefront of their agendas. So we're really delighted and honored that you were able to join us here today, and we look forward to your comments. Thank you.
I wasn't feeling warm until I watched all of you start fanning yourselves, and all I realized maybe I am warm. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like, you know, coming after the two students, you don't really have a lot to add, but it's never short of a politician with something to say. So don't feel too excited about yourselves just yet. First of all, I do want to say to the two students, you probably have learned the greatest thing in life, which is how to pick yourself up from failure, how to make sure when you have self-doubt, how to keep plowing ahead. And I think that, if I always said on graduation days, the biggest thing in life is not how you handle the peaks, it's how you handle the valleys, and you'll learn the most about yourself and most about life. So you've already, without a doubt, at the University of Chicago, you're well on your way, but you've learned the most important thing in life, which is when you have doubts and you hit valleys, how you get yourself together. And there's no doubt, looking at your parents, you've done right. You should be as a parent of 3, you've done right. I can't be more proud of what you've done, and I know you are. Second is, I would like to make a couple points, which is nothing also gives you more promise about the city of Chicago than when you look at its students. And this is the year that's big milestones for the city of Chicago. Most kids graduated, 60%. 60% on their way to college. Freshmen, most ever, 75% on their way to graduating high school. Best ACT scores ever. And best, I don't know how, most significant drop among dropouts. And so this has been a milestone for the city on its whole purpose of getting kids through high school, and then they're on their way to college. And I say that because I'm on the way from an event earlier today to announce something I had introduced when I was a candidate for mayor, which is performance pay for our principals. 82 principals made somewhere between $20,000, $10,000, and $5,000, all for the improvement they have in math, reading scores, college preparation, and the achievement gap being reduced throughout the city. And I thought it was a significant point because we're the first city, one of the first cities to adopt that citywide. Because I want our principals to have accountability and be held accountable for the results they have in that building, and to be, not that they're not incentivized enough, but as professionals, to have that incentive. And I just happened, I'm a little late, and the reason we're all a little late is I went and did a pop visit on one of the schools, Dulles, which is an AUSL school, not far, just to see firsthand, who's a recipient, the principal there, of one of the awards of what she was accomplishing in that school, and it's been very significant. Lastly, I want to say to the University of Chicago why I'm so proud of this. And it kind of brings full circle a couple of things from my other career. One of the first bills I ever did as a member of Congress was to simplify the FAFSA form for applying to student. You all nod. I believe the FAFSA form was the old form, was the single largest reason for divorce in America. That thing was 108 questions, 6 pages long. And I said, I want to say this, if you could fill that out, pass undergraduate, go right to graduate school. That's the first test. You don't need 4 years of undergraduate school if you can fill out that form. And I will tell you, I used to do this all the time. For a major company to get a loan from the Export-Import Bank, 13 questions. For a child to go to college, it was 108 questions on 6 pages. Now you tell me who's better for the future of America. So I do want to say to the University of Chicago, simplifying this process, making it more accessible to more students, you have no idea how significant that is. Second, I had the honor to work for 2 presidents who made college education more a priority for them and more accessible to more kids, both through Pell Grants and in President Clinton's day with the Hope and Lifetime Learning tax credits. So nobody went into poverty to try to help their kids get a college education. And the number one reason for debt for a lot of children is, or a lot of young adults rather, is college. And number one reason they don't apply, cost. Number one reason they drop out, costs. Every child today, or on average, who graduates from school is graduating with $25,000 worth of debt. So you get a diploma on one side and you flip it over and you get your debt number already. That's how we start off in life. It is the wrong way to build a future. So I cannot thank the University of Chicago enough for single-handedly taking on the challenges that are facing kids today, parents today, and families today, and making sure at every level the process is simpler and more affordable, so that if a child and a parent, just as you had heard, get to the 1-yard line, the university has their door open, not shut, so they can get to touchdown. So thank you very much for being a partner, and thank you everybody for making this possible.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for those comments, and this concludes our event today. I would like to say, just as a matter of housekeeping, I know the mayor has to run off to another event, but we will have some of our university folks here to take questions for any media that want to ask questions, and the people coordinator, that will be Steve Klain at the top, and Calmetta. You can go to see Steve or Calmetta, who's in the back, if you're interested in talking to anybody, and they'll arrange it to do some interviews. Again, thank you, everybody, for coming here today, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.